Hey everyone, Stephen here with a fresh off the couch reaction to Ahsoka, episode 6. So, this is a Sabine centric episode. So, guess what? I hated it. I absolutely hated it. But let me start out with something positive. At least the storyline got moved forward. At least we finally got to meet Thrawn. At least we finally got to meet Ezra. At least we finally get some movement to where Thrawn possibly could be moved off this planet. So finally, instead of talking about moving the plot forward, this episode actually does move the plot forward. So I can honestly say that is something that I really did appreciate about this particular episode. But as far as the rest of it, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Starting with the conversation that Ahsoka and David Tennant had in the mouth of that whale, where Ahsoka continued to make excuses for Sabine about how maybe she wasn't trained in the Jedi ways enough to make the right choice. Maybe there wasn't a choice to be made. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, there's always a choice to be made. You can always choose to do the right thing. Sabine chose not to, and I hated that whole entire conversation was them trying to make excuses, or I should say Ahsoka trying to make excuses for Sabine's behavior. Now, what I will say, though, is that tracks with Star Wars canon, in as much as Obi-Wan made excuse after excuse after excuse for all of Anakin's shenanigans, all the way up until the very end of episode 3. So, excuse me. So it tracks that Ahsoka would make excuse after excuse after excuse for Sabine, probably all the way up until the end. And as I have been saying, Sabine is literally following the Anakin Skywalker playbook. And because of that, again, I really hope that Disney has the balls to turn her full on evil, full on Sith, full on Vader by the end of this show, because she's literally following the Anakin playbook. So, I hated the conversation that they had at the very beginning. Also, the entire episode didn't make sense in a lot of different ways. First of all, it would seem to me that once you found Thrawn, when they said it would take 3 rotations for everything to be loaded up into the truck, into the pickup truck, so they could get the hell off of that silly little planet, I would say, you know what? Make that 1.5 rotations, because I'm tired of being on this friggin' planet. That's the first thing. The second thing is they let Sabine go to go find this Ezra character, right? They let her go, but then they sent General Balin and his Padawan behind them, so that should Sabine find Ezra, General Balin was supposed to get rid of both of them. Now, here's the thing. It took Sabine no time flat to find Ezra. We're talking maybe a few hours to find this person. If he is such an important character to find and get rid of, why hadn't he been found and gotten rid of a long time ago? Like I said, it took her maybe a couple of hours to find this man. Now, it is true that their troops have been diminished. However, with all the troops that were there to welcome Emperor Thrawn into his grand entrance, you're telling me that all of those stormtroopers couldn't take down one Jedi? I'm sorry, I don't believe it. In fact, it doesn't make sense as far as Star Wars canon goes, because the Jedi Order was completely destroyed by stormtroopers. So it makes zero sense that one Jedi all by himself would have been able to take down the entire squadron of stormtroopers. And if he could, let's say, for example, he could, why didn't he already? Why didn't he already take down Thrawn? If he's that daggone powerful, why didn't he already take down Thrawn? None of that made sense. Now let's talk about this howler animal that Sabine used. First of all, they gave her zero time to bond with this animal. And so it made sense that when bandits ambushed them, the animal would throw her off and make a beeline for safer pastures. What didn't make sense is that it returned. They had no time to bond. They didn't even give Sabine 15 seconds to do a Jedi mind trick of some sort to bond with this animal. Why did this animal return? And not only why did it return, but why did it follow her around like a sad puppy? Made zero sense. And an argument could be made, it needed, or the plot needed it to discover these Jar Jar Binks on a half shell things that were running amok. But there could have been other ways to find these particular creatures who, again, look like miniature Jar Jar Binks on the half shells, hermit crabs, basically, that look like Jar Jar Binks. There could have been other ways to find these animals. So, anyway, that made no sense. And also, here we go with the cutesy animals again. It is Star Wars canon to have cutesy animals like Ewoks, and Jar Jar Binks was supposed to fill that role for the first 3 episodes, but didn't end up doing that at all. But because it's Star Wars, we always have to have, the cutesy animal that's going to end up being the hot new toy or the hot new plush animal that's going to fly off the shelves come Christmas time. So I get why they did it, but it's still super annoying. So, Sabine finds Ezra. Question: how are they going to get off the planet? Ezra literally says to her, "I'm so glad you're here and I can't wait to go home." How are they going to get home? Again, Sabine not thinking anything through, because as far as she knows, they scooped up Emperor Thawne and headed out. So she basically sold out the entire galaxy so that she could be stranded on this desolate planet in bumfuck wherever for the rest of their lives. As far as she knows, she sold out the entire galaxy for that reality. It makes zero sense. And again, following not the Luke Skywalker plot line, the Anakin Skywalker plot line, where you don't think things through. You want what you want, and consequences of those decisions be damned. You want what you want. She is following the Anakin playbook, which again makes me feel like the only way any of this will make sense is in the end, Ezra dies and somehow Sabine blames Ahsoka for it and turns full on evil. Anyway, I hated the episode. I absolutely hated the episode because it was Sabine centric, and her Anakin Skywalker storyline I'm 100% over at this point. So I'm going to give it just 2 butter pumps. Dave, how many butter pumps are you giving it? 3? Dave thought it was a mid episode, and it was because we had a discussion beforehand. It's because the plot line actually moved forward, and so that's probably why he's just giving it 3. Although that makes, between you and me, it's just 2 butter pumps. But that's his score, and I'm going to let him have it. So what did you guys think of this episode of Ahsoka, episode 6 of Ahsoka? Comment down below. I want to hear all about it. How many butter pumps would you give it? Sound off. I want to hear all about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for commenting. And thank you so very much for subscribing. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.